Earth's water is thought to have originated from icy comets and meteors. In the beginning, water was bound in minerals. All of this the ancient Finns already knew. The national epic Kalevala describes how water originated in the mountains. Waters came down from the sky and grew beneath the rocky surface. In the Ice Age, the northern hemisphere was covered by vast sheets of ice. Movement of the ice carved out depths, and its weight left depressions which would later form lakes. There are around 190,000 lakes in Finland. The never-ending cycle of water is the basis of all life. In Finnish mythology, Vellamo is the goddess of water and Ahti the guardian of all waters. Ahti and Vellamo's daughter, the tiny water spirit Ahitar, is forever reborn in the bubbling spring water. She appears in a mist to watch over the waterfolk and guard the waters and shores. The Arctic Chars know when Ahitar's birth is near and rush to greet her as the clouds of mist clear. Ahitar spends her early years in the spring raised by Arctic Chars. Soon she befriends all the different plant and animal spirits. According to the tale, water spirits grew up in the springs and learned to take care of the water folk. When the water spirits were old enough, the winter sky was lit up by northern lights in celebration. After the ice melts, water can flow freely, and it is time to move on towards the lake. Nature knows something great and joyous is about to happen. Ahita, the tiny water spirit, begins her first journey in the eternal cycle. All the animals and plants were known to have their own guardian spirits who looked after their own. Tapiotar was the guardian spirit of birds. She waited in the open water and greeted the whooper swans arriving on the icy runway, trumpets blaring. Many Finnic people thought the swan was their divine ancestor. They believed swans had been humans before breaking down into birds. The European otter hunts in a large area. Its territory can cover over 50 kilometers of waterways. It lives in the water, but also spends time on land. The otter is a solitary creature. Otters use their sensitive whiskers to help track fish, even in the darkness of underwater ice. Otters are playful animals that love to slide from one ice hole to another and downhill on their tummies. The female looks after the offspring by herself. The pups often stay with their mother for over a year. Minerva is the guardian spirit of otters. She sends her people to carry the message forward. Ahita is on her way to the lake. Amphibious frogs were the first vertebrates to live on land, yet they still return to the water to reproduce. Toads can breathe through their skin as well as their lungs, which is why they can hibernate underwater. Toads can live for over 50 years. Toad wrestling matches commence in the spring, following the rules of ancient Greek Olympics. Soon, though, it starts to look more like freestyle wrestling. The winner is awarded the fairest of all toads. There aren't enough brides for everyone, though. The battle-worn toad must crawl back to its solitary abode and wait for a whole year before spring and the next wrestling match. Come springtime, the warmth of the sun and the cold, hard ice engage in battle. Every year, the ice has to surrender. It then starts moving and forcing its way through everything until it softens and melts. The elk have spent the winter together grazing in large herds. In the spring, they begin to make their way towards new pastures, following their age-old routes. Even large waterways cannot stop the elk. In Finnish folk tales, the elk guardian spirit is called Laus. He tends to the elk and breaks the herd up into groups. After having spent a long winter together, friends must finally part ways. Laus explains why some must cross the water while others stay behind. Sufficient food must be available for everyone in the summer. Perch and roach swim upstream to spawn. Not everyone makes it, and only the strongest get to reproduce. Some continue on, and others stay behind. Only the cycle of water is never ending. In many ancient tales, the world is created from an egg. In Kalevala, the egg's lower half becomes the earth, and the upper half becomes the sky. The yolk turns into the sun, the white transforms into the moon. All the colored bits become the stars, and the darker bits change into clouds in the sky. From that same egg, our whole world was hatched. Fish and birds were born too. From the tiny egg hatched the brown trout fry, the miracle of new life. The water flows from the spring into streams and rivers and finally reaches the lake. One part of the water cycle is about to end. As it flows, the water washes dirt away and is cleansed itself in rapids and strong currents, grabbing oxygen and nutrients on the way. The fresh, oxygen-rich water flows into the lake. Shrouded by mist, Ahitar inspects her new home. When the first morning dawns, she sees how Baivatar, the mother of all living things, directs life-giving sunlight onto the lake. From her golden threads, she weaves her beams of light. The lake's ecosystems are powered by the sun. All they need is just a few fractions of daylight. The lake is an important part of the cycle of water, which is why the water spirits had to make their home here. People who lived close to nature understood that humans were a part of nature and needed to respect its delicate balance. The eldest of the perch guides Ahitar and introduces the waterfolk to her. The perch spawns over a long period of time, from May to as late as July. A large female perch can lay up to 50,000 eggs. Right after spawning, the new generation must be closely guarded. The northern pike has always been an important fish for Finnish folk. The mysterious pike was considered the king of fish. According to an epic poem of its birth, pikes came from the sky and brought fire and music to people. People knew the pike's skull was made up of 100 bones, and each one was given a name and meaning when casting spells. These days, the skull bones are used to calculate the pike's age. The black-throated loon is a very timid bird. People believed the mysterious loon was a messenger of the gods, and some even thought the dead could assume the shape of the bird and return to their families and ask for food. Black-throated loons were thought to keep evil spirits away, and so people would brush their cows with loon feathers to keep predators from attacking the herd. No one knows why some birds gather in flocks and how their pecking order is established. In any case, it's difficult for a new member of the flock to be elected as the leader. Birds are thought to have evolved from small dinosaurs that lived in the Jurassic period. The scales became feathers to keep the dinosaur warm. When their upper limbs became stronger and their bones hollow, the feather-covered creatures took to the skies. Water birds have always played a crucial part in the lives of ancient Finns. Birds carried messages from gods, but were also an important source of food. People welcomed returning migratory birds after a food-scarce winter. Water birds appear in rock paintings thousands of years old. The miraculous origin of the world, life hatched from an egg, is repeated in the life of birds. It takes very little time before the waterbird chicks are ready to leave the nest after hatching. The chicks are safer on water, but on land they would be easy prey. They must, however, learn to respect the water territories of other birds. It would be foolish to go near a red-throated loon's home. It is said that the bear was born where the moon lives, in the heart of day, on the Big Dipper's shoulder. From there, it was lowered onto the earth in a golden cradle hanging from a silver sling. White-tailed eagles wear 5 different suits during the course of their lives. 4 suits in their youth and 1 for old age. In many stories, the eagle acts as a messenger, and in Kalevala, it rescues and helps other heroes as needed. Lake shores are a haven for many insects. The metamorphosis when they migrate from water to land is fascinating. The dragonfly is a magical creature that has lived on the earth for hundreds of millions of years. It spends a great part of its life underwater as a monstrous larva that feeds on other underwater creatures. Mosquito eggs hatch in the water and they become swimming larvae. The larvae breathe through the surface using a thin tube that protrudes from their rear end. Insects born in water need to be reborn into a whole new world with completely different laws for life. These insects change from divers into flyers. They become airborne in order to reproduce and lay eggs. From the water, a new cycle of life begins once again. Without insects, there would be no birds. They live side by side in nature's delicate balance. Water striders have measured the span of the lake many times, while others beneath the surface, such as polyps and moss animals, are left far behind. The beaver is known as an ecosystem engineer because its purpose in life is to build. It makes its environment ideal for the preservation of its own species by building dams and creating a fine nest inside a water enclosure. The dams can be several meters high and tens of meters long. For rafting timber, beavers also build channels that can reach hundreds of meters in length. When threatened, the beaver may sit underwater for as long as 15 minutes as its body functions slow down. This is made possible by a diving reflex many mammals carry as a legacy from a time when their ancestors still lived in the water. A beaver family sometimes includes offsprings from a previous year. As many as 10 beavers may live together in the same nest. As autumn comes, Tapiotar, the guardian spirit of birds, gathers her flocks and directs them due south, where they can stay for the winter. It is time to bid a touching farewell to the bright summer and its bustling life. But one can also hear joy and eagerness in the flock's farewell calls. The water folk say goodbye to a summer bright and vibrant with life, seeking peace and quiet as the nights get darker. They needn't go far from their home lake. They can seek shelter in the nooks and crevices of the deep. According to ancient wisdom, the birds' guardian spirits told them when the time was right to migrate, and they also guided the birds along the journey. Come spring, the spirits would show the way back north to their old nesting grounds. Today, it is believed that the guardian spirits are, in fact, the Earth's magnetic fields. Birds can sense the lines of force and navigate by them. In the autumn, the brown trout leave the lakes and swim upstream towards gravelly patches where they can spawn. They travel from lakes far along the rivers to where they have spawned since time immemorial. There they were born, and there they will return each autumn. It was thought that the guardian spirit of the trout was related to Dapiota, who gathered the migratory birds for their journey south. Trout spawning is a secret ritual no one knew much about. It takes place in the bottom of fast-flowing streams, unseen by humans. The spawning dance of trout celebrates life. Flowing water sets the rhythm as couples find their way to the gravelly dance floor and females pick their partners for a dance. Waters cool down and all movement becomes slower. Waters get heavier as the temperature drops, reaching their heaviest at 4 degrees Celsius. The 4-degree water sinks to the bottom of the lake, lifting colder water upwards towards the surface. Water is the only substance that is lighter when frozen solid than as a liquid. The northern pike was a significant fish for ancient Finns, as a source of both sustenance and mythology. On one hand, it was thought to be the leader of all fish, but on the other, it was also labeled as a wolf of the waters. The water wolf was known as the pike of the underworld, an omen of death. Shamans of Lapland believed that bad souls ended up in the bowels of pikes and therefore wouldn't eat pike. In ancient Finnish mythology, the pike was believed to have the ability to traverse between the worlds of the living and the dead. It would swim through the deepest of depths into the underworld called Tuonela. Vimatar arrives and brings winter with her. Everything above the ice stops, and even beneath the surface, life is much slower. Everyone has time to dwell on their own thoughts. When everything is prepared for wintertime, the northern pike swims into the depths. Somewhere deep in the cold, beneath the ice, lies Tuonela, the realm of death, watched over by its armored guards. The eternal current of living water flows through even Tuonela, and that is why no one needs to stay there forever. The power of flowing water always brings life with it. Himatar grows an ever stronger roof of ice on the lake's surface. When water takes its icy form, its power shapes and erodes the Earth's crust. The Ice Age tore grooves into a bedrock billions of years in age. It brought with it ridge gravel and erratic boulders that would divide bodies of water. Deep beneath the ice, one finds more evidence of the power of water. Rapids have shaped river bottoms anew. Flowing water has proved even more powerful than rock. Life forms long since extinct have also been preserved within rock layers. There, somewhere deep in the underworld, beyond consciousness, lay also the place from which ancient Finns received their secret skills. Winter is building ice roofs on rapids, creating halls of ice. Here, the marriage of water and air is celebrated. Flowing water and cold air are joined here. The warmth of spring melts the ice, and water flows into lakes again. New life is revealed underneath wintry banks of snow. A seal pup has been born in a snow cave in midwinter, and now it's time for it to venture out into the wide world. Saimaa ringed seals give birth in midwinter, so they take shelter in a shoreline snow cave with access to water through a hole in the ice. The mother uses its front flippers to dig out a cave from the hole, undetectable until springtime when its roof collapses. By then, the ringed seal pup is big enough to manage by itself in the water. There are only a little over 300 Saimaa ringed seals in the world, and they all live in Lake Saimaa. Saimaa ringed seals are fully adapted to living in the water. But because they are mammals, they have to surface to breathe. They must also maintain breathing holes in the ice during wintertime. These ringed seals can stay submerged for as long as half an hour. The rest of nature is still waiting for spring and summer to awaken life in the lake, for millions of fish spawn to mature into new generations, for birds to arrive from the south, for nesting to begin, for eggs to grow into bird families. Even though ice still covers the lake, the small ringed seal pup underneath it brings with it a promise. The cycle of water will always continue. The morning mist arises from the lake, and with it, Ahitar takes to the skies. As it evaporates and rises ever higher, the water is purified. Thunder and lightning rid the water of dirt, and Ahitar is likewise cleansed. Coming full circle, the water returns to the earth and forests, and Ahitar rains down from the misty clouds and back into the spring where she was born. There she is reborn new and pure, so that she may start another journey. Old friends await in the spring.